how I unlocked my hidden power. It was a quiet night, the kind where the only sound is the rustle of the trees, and the world feels like it's holding its breath. But for me, it was anything but quiet. I stood at the edge of a cliff, overlooking a vast, silent valley that stretched for miles. The air was thick with tension, almost as if the universe itself was waiting for something, waiting for me. I hadn't planned on being here, not tonight. In fact, just hours ago, I was in the same place you might be now, wondering if everything I had been told about personal strength, about unlocking hidden power, was just another fairy tale. Those were the thoughts that circled in my mind as I stepped closer to the edge, looking out at the nothingness before me. The truth is, we all have our doubts. We all question the stories we're told. They promise us strength, resilience, and greatness, but the road to discovering your true potential is never as clear-cut as the books or the motivational speakers make it out to be. I had been running in circles, caught between the grind of daily life and the empty promises of self-help mantras. But that night, on the edge of that cliff, everything changed. You see, most people don't talk about the moment when everything shifts. They don't tell you about the sudden, jarring realization that your life is not what it seems, not what you thought it was supposed to be. But there I was, staring into the darkness, feeling the ground beneath my feet pulse in a way I couldn't explain. There was something in the air, something unseen that was about to make itself known, and that's when it hit me. The secret to unlocking hidden power doesn't come from a self-help book, a guru, or a life-changing moment you read about. It's far darker, deeper, and more elusive than that. It was hidden inside me all along. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. We're all taught to look outward for answers. We spend our lives seeking guidance, waiting for a sign from the universe, hoping for that one big breakthrough that will finally unleash our potential. But what if I told you that all along, the power you're searching for isn't out there in the world? It's in the parts of you that you've been trying to avoid, the parts of you that scare you the most. But here's the twist. What if I told you it wasn't some extraordinary gift? What if unlocking your hidden power is about accepting something no one tells you? Something that could change everything, but at a cost? The night I stood at that cliff, everything I thought I knew about myself was shattered. It was raw, it was uncomfortable, and it forced me to confront the parts of me that I had buried, the fears, the doubts, the weaknesses I had carefully hidden from the world and even from myself. It wasn't a gentle realization, not like the ones we hear about in those self-help books. No, this was something violent, something that shook the very core of who I was. The first shift was subtle. I felt a strange sense of peace, a quiet realization that perhaps I had been fighting the wrong battles. Maybe it wasn't about striving for perfection. Maybe the power wasn't in the victory, it was in the struggle itself. The moment of raw, uncomfortable growth that no one ever tells you about. That's the true test. And just when I thought I was beginning to understand, it hit me harder than ever before. This wasn't about victory at all. It was about surrender. As I stood there on the edge of that cliff, staring into the void, I realized something that took me years to learn. Real power doesn't come from winning or conquering. It comes from letting go. It comes from accepting your weaknesses, facing your deepest fears, and still choosing to move forward. It was the kind of truth that burned as it settled in my chest. I had spent my life running from my own fears, trying to cover them up, trying to push through them. But there, on the edge of that cliff, it was as if I had finally accepted them. I had let go of the need to control every aspect of my life, and that's when the power unlocked. It was as if the universe had finally shown me that the key to unlocking my hidden power was simply to stop trying so damn hard. It was about embracing the chaos, the uncertainty, and the fear that I had spent so much time avoiding. Because in that chaos, in that discomfort, there was a strength I had never known. A power that could never be unlocked through force. It could only be accessed through surrender. The moment was both terrifying and liberating, and just like that, the ground beneath my feet seemed to change. I was no longer standing on a cliff. I was floating in the air, suspended between what was and what could be. My entire body was filled with energy, a buzzing force I had never felt before. I didn't understand it, but I knew it was real. I had unlocked something, and I had no idea how to control it. That's when it hit me. True power isn't something you can control, it's something you allow. It's a force that flows through you when you stop resisting, when you stop trying to force things to happen. I stood there, staring out at the valley, feeling both small and infinite at the same time. The night felt alive with possibility, as if the world itself was waiting for me to finally see what had always been there. And as I stood there, still feeling the buzz of raw power coursing through my veins, I realized something else. No one will ever tell you about this part of the journey. No one will warn you about the pain, the discomfort, or the realization that what you thought you knew about strength is just the beginning. It's not about winning, conquering, or even finding the answer. It's about knowing that you're strong enough to face everything you've been avoiding. What happened that night was more than just a revelation. It was a birth of a new way of being. And it all began when I stopped fighting and started letting go. So I ask you, what would happen if you stopped fighting the parts of yourself you're afraid of? What if the power you've been searching for was already inside you, waiting for you to surrender to it? Would you have the courage to let it in? Would you embrace it, even if it meant facing the darkest parts of yourself? As you think about this, remember, power isn't a destination, it's a journey. And that journey, much like mine, begins when you choose to step into the unknown. So I'll leave you with this thought. What part of yourself have you been running from? And what would happen if you stopped? If you felt the pull of this story and it resonated with you, I want you to drop a comment below with the words, "Let go," as a reminder of the power that comes when you stop resisting. If you know someone who needs to hear this, send them this story. And remember, the journey of unlocking your true power has only just begun.